Oh, look, there's a deer in the yard. Come on, kids, see the deer. It has two fawns. Whoa, hit the brakes, deer! There's a deer in the garden. It jumped the fence. I hope we see a deer today on our drive. Emotions. I'm Roger. Welcome to Mindfulness in Nature. Emotions. From the voices I just did, the tone of voice, the volume, and maybe my facial expressions, you could read different emotions from me talking about seeing a deer in different situations. Emotions in mindfulness, emotions in life, are really complex, and often we try to ignore them or push them down a bit, except for ones that people enjoy. The definition I like to use for mindfulness is bringing our attention, our awareness, or our focus to our breath, our emotions, our thoughts, our senses, and our surroundings, while trying to reduce our judgments or bring awareness to our judgments and being in the present moment, letting the moment that just happened pass. So, emotions is what we're going to talk about today. And as I said, this is a topic that we kind of sometimes avoid. It's a topic that I love. It's a topic that learning more about my emotions has really helped me heal and manage life better. I remember the first time the therapist said to me, anger in that situation is justified, Roger. We're going to come back to that. And if there's a deer in your garden, being angry about that would make sense. If there's a deer in your yard and you have kids and it has a couple fawns and it's not eating anything you don't want it to, it can be a real pleasure to see a deer. If you're driving on the road and all of a sudden one's right in front of your car and you need to slam on the brakes, that's scary. So we can have different responses to deer, to people, to anything. And how we respond, what emotions we have, will depend on the situation, which is part of what I want to talk about. I'm going to put up here for you to see the pyramid of needs. And it's often Maslow is the first person to come up with this, I think, or the first it's credited to him. Maslow's hierarchy of pyramids of needs. I'll keep talking while you see it on the screen. At the first level of the pyramid are physiological needs: breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, stability, and excretion. The next level up is safety: security of body, security of employment or finances, security of resources, of morality, of family or friends, social connections, of health, and of property. The third level is love and belonging, friendship, family, sexual romantic intimacy. Then above that is self-esteem, confidence, achievements, respect of others, respect by others. And the top level is morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, and acceptance of facts. I bring up the pyramid of needs, and the way that this pyramid works is that most things at the bottom level need to be met before you can move up very much to the next level. Now, it's somewhat flexible, but air, water, food, those we need before we can focus on much else. Air and air we can't go long without, water not too long without, food a little longer. But when we don't have those, it has our attention very quickly. So we need those base level. Then we can move up a little bit. We get more of that second level. We start to move up a little bit more of meeting our needs. Now, I started talking about emotions and very quickly went into talking about needs. And there's a really important reason for this, is people talk about emotions and they usually categorize them into two major groups. Often the words used are good and bad emotions, positive and negative emotions, pleasant and unpleasant emotions. All three of those categories, although pleasant and unpleasant, is trying to have less judgment, but it's not fun to be angry. It's not fun to be sad. But there are times it's justified. And so why I bring up the pyramids of needs is because of this next image I'm going to bring up called the feelings wheel. This feelings wheel is created by the next piece I'm going to bring up is the feelings wheel. And this feelings wheel was created by the Nonviolent Communication Group. I'll put a link to both a pyramid of needs and this feelings wheel down in the description. What I really love about the feelings wheel that you can see right now is the outermost ring, not the colored ring, outside of that, where it divides emotions into when needs are met and when needs are not met. And why I like this division more than good and bad, positive and negative, pleasant and unpleasant, is because when needs are met and when needs are not met is just a fact. Going back to the deer, if there's a deer in the yard with a couple fawns and it's just walking through the yard and not eating anything I don't want it to, I probably will enjoy that. If it's in my garden and eating my food or flowers that I've been working to grow through the growing season, and it's eating them, I wanted those flowers and that food. This deer is taking away one of my needs. My need for food or my need for just satisfaction of the beauty of the flowers I was growing. So a need is not being met. The deer is taking away the need, is making a need be not met. If I'm driving on the road and a deer is in the middle of the road or on the edge of the road and I have to slam on my brakes, the possibility of my need for safety is about to be destroyed. And so fear and anger are justified and fit. So now, if I just like seeing deer, I'm driving through a park, I'm driving through some national park or some county park or just out on a country drive or driving through a neighborhood where there's deer, and I'm out to see deer, then I'm really happy to see the deer. So, because my need for seeing wildlife was my desire and it was met. So, that's why I bring up needs before I talk about emotions. I have a need for a drink. So if we can divide emotions into when needs are met and when needs are not met, there's no judgment. And part of the definition of mindfulness is being aware of and reducing our judgments. So when we have already that perspective of like a need is met, a need is not met, hopefully that will reduce judging our emotions, because society teaches us that these are bad emotions, these are negative emotions, you're not supposed to have them. But it's part of the human experience to have needs not met and the emotions that go along with that. So I bring that up first to help reduce our judgment of having emotions. Now, how can we be aware of emotions? When we're doing mindfulness, most likely it's fairly calm, but we might think of things. We might think of, while we're sitting there, our brain, our monkey mind or our squirrel brain is going to go different places while we try to have some focus. And those thoughts might bring up something pleasant or something unpleasant, sometime when needs were met or needs were not met. And we had emotions maybe when that event happened, and we might still have emotions around that event, which makes sense. Also, in real life, emotions happen. Emotions are part of being human. So to be aware of them, some ways that we can be aware of our emotions, a lot of it happens in our head, but not all of it. I did different voice tones to demonstrate emotion. So with emotions, our voice tone will change. With emotions, our voice volume can change. We may cry when we're angry. We may cry when we're sad. We may cry when we're happy. So crying is a really obvious tears in our eyes, moisture in our nose, maybe some heat in our face or some redness in our face or our chest. Um, those can be signals. We can feel that. We might feel our throat tighten up. We might feel our mouth get dry. We might feel an energy or a heat in our body, or we might feel a lack of energy or coolness or draining or fatigue in our body, depending on which emotions we're having. So there are signals in our body to our emotions. There are thoughts. We have thoughts. We have body sensations. Our tone of voice. We also, particularly with nervousness, we might do fidgets. I can do fidgets with my fingers. So sometimes for me, one of my first clues that I'm getting uncomfortable or anxious is I start kind of fidgeting with my fingers. Now I had to learn, I developed that at a young age, but then I learned to watch for that. So these are ways to be aware of our emotions. And then mindfulness, another piece of mindfulness is to be in the present moment and not judge. So when I have emotions that are difficult, that are unpleasant, sometimes they're justified. Actually, if I'm having the emotion, something in my body, it is justified. Some need is not being met, or I have the perception that a need is not being met. And so if we can be like, oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm aware of it, but it just passed. And another emotion will come. And you might have had reactions. I started off this video with some different voices about deer. And you might have been a little bit startled by a couple of the things I said. And you might have had memories in response to some of the things I said, thinking of a deer jumping in front of your car, or thinking of seeing a deer that was really joyful, really pleasant to see. And yet, and when I did that in the very beginning, each time I said something, you probably had a reaction to how I was saying it. You at least had thoughts, and you probably read my emotions. And so none of that was really happening. I was really acting it out, but we weren't really driving down the road and a deer jumped out. So you had a little response to me, most likely, or you also kind of just wondered, like, what is this guy doing? And then I changed, and then I changed again. And emotions can come and go that quickly. Now, there are times they stay. When an event is happening, of course, we're having emotions connected to that event. If we think about an event that happened, of course, we'll have emotions related to it. And sometimes to work through grief, loss, injury, we need to kind of stay with it and work on it some. And we're going to have emotions when we do that. Other times, maybe we don't need to stay with that and we can let it pass. Also, like I'm talking about the difficult or when needs are not met, but it's fine also, of course. It's great to reminisce about fun times. It's great to reminisce about joyful times. And even though that's not happening in the moment, you're remembering it in the moment, and you'll have emotions connected to that. And that's fine. Also, it's actually, whatever emotions you're having are fine. And to just be aware of them and also know that they will pass. That's the beginning of being aware of your emotions with mindfulness. Now, as I said, this is a subject I can talk a lot about. I love it. I think it's a really important part of human existence that gets diminished or minimized. And so I'm going to do more videos about emotion and about why we have emotions, what emotions do for us, and how to be aware of them. Here comes a car. So I'm just going to do a breathing while this car goes by. Feel free to breathe also. I picked this shirt to wear when I talked about emotions because to me, this is a fun shirt. And how is a shirt fun? It's fun because of the colors and the design. It makes me happy. This is a beautiful setting behind me. Now, I could come and enjoy this setting when I'm in a good mood and on a nice country drive, but I also could come and sit here in my car if I was sad and just look at this and cry. So it's just being aware of your emotions and your needs and what's going on, and when your needs are met, your needs are not met. And as I said, I will talk the truck. It's talking about needs. I was really focused. The truck went by. I got a little distracted. You get to see that in real time. My need for focus on just this video was a little bit disturbed. I'm not upset, but you can tell I kind of lost track. I was wrapping this up and then the truck came by. So I'll wrap this up again. And I won't edit that out because it's good for you to see how I adjust and that these videos aren't all perfect. Things happen. Even when I'm out in the middle of the country on a back road, things happen that interrupt what I planned for doing video. And I didn't get really upset. I dealt with it. And you saw that I'm like, oh, let me just pay attention to my breath while this truck goes by. Anyway, paying attention to emotions. I'm going to talk more about it. I'll do more videos about the purpose and how we can work with emotions, how we can process emotions. And the biggest piece I'll say that I haven't said yet is sitting with your emotions, being aware of your emotions, is always justified. Now, one of the pieces that gets talked about in mindfulness and in meditation is having a response, not a reaction. And what they mean by that is a reaction is like, that guy made me mad, I'm going to go punch him. That's a reaction immediately without thought. A response is when you think like, oh, I'm really angry. That guy just did something that made me really angry. And I'm going to walk away. I'm going to let myself have those emotions, but I'm not going to direct them at that other person. And whether you're angry or sad or hurt, you get to have your emotions and they're justified. But the line to keep in mind is that you don't get to direct them and take them out on other people. Now, I will bring this to a close. Thank you for listening. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or thoughts about emotions, please put them in the comments. And I look forward to questions, and I will do more videos about emotions. Thank you for watching.